Steve McQueen. Now he's good in that department because that son of a gun got the tough. Steve McQueen was the king of cool, a Hollywood rebel who lived life on his own terms. But behind the fast cars and the anti-hero glare was a brilliant businessman who built a massive fortune with the same raw intensity he brought to the racetrack. When he died in 1980, he was worth an estimated $30 million, which is the equivalent of over $100 million today. And this wasn't just movie money. This was an empire built on tough negotiations, smart investments, and an uncanny understanding of his own brand long before personal branding was even a thing. This is the story of how Steve McQueen's incredible wealth and calculated risks created a financial legacy that set his family up for generations, for a whole generation. Steve McQueen was more than an actor. He was an icon, the quiet hero, the man of action who could say more with a look than most actors could with a full page of dialogue. In movies like The Great Escape, Bullet, and The Thomas Crown Affair, he created a persona that was effortlessly cool and dangerously rebellious. His off-screen life, full of racing motorcycles and high-performance cars, only amplified that legend. He famously said, "I live for myself and answer to nobody." But that was only half the story. The other half was forged in a tough, impoverished childhood. This was the Steve McQueen who was a shrewd and fiercely competitive businessman. He fought with directors and producers, not just because he was an artist, but because he knew his own value and was determined to get every last cent. His popularity put him in high demand, and he used that leverage to become the highest-paid movie star in the world. This wasn't an accident. It was a deliberate strategy by a man who had known poverty and swore he would never go back. If you want to understand the drive that pushed Steve McQueen to the top, you have to know where he came from. His life didn't start with Hollywood privilege. It started with survival. Born during the Great Depression, his early years were marked by instability. His father, a stunt pilot, left when he was a baby, and his mother, struggling with her own issues, left him in the care of his grandparents on a farm in Missouri. That brief period of stability ended when he was sent back to live with his mother and a series of abusive stepfathers. The trauma pushed him to the streets, where he fell in with local gangs. After one particularly bad beating from a stepfather, a young McQueen threatened him, saying, "You lay your stinking hands on me again, and I swear I'll kill you." That landed him in the California Junior Boys Republic in Chino, a reform school. It was a turning point. After a rebellious start, he eventually matured and was even elected to the Boy Council. After a stint in the Marines, McQueen used the GI Bill to study acting in New York City. To make ends meet, he raced motorcycles on weekends, using his prize money to buy his first few bikes. His career started with small parts, including one in Paul Newman's Somebody Up There Likes Me, 1956, before he got his first lead role in the horror classic The Blob, 1958. That same year, he became the bounty hunter Josh Randall in the hit TV series Wanted, Dead or Alive, which gave him a steady paycheck and made him a recognizable face. The 1960s were his launchpad to superstardom. The Magnificent Seven, 1960, and The Great Escape, 1963, made him a true action star. It was during The Great Escape that McQueen's competitive nature and business savvy really shined. He made sure his character got the most memorable action sequence, the iconic motorcycle jump, making him the breakout star of a cast full of big names. By the late 60s, he was regularly earning $1 million per film, which soon jumped to $3 million. But McQueen was aiming higher. He saw his rival Paul Newman as the benchmark. The two had a legendary rivalry both on screen and in their shared passion for professional racing. McQueen even backed out of a starring role with Newman in Butch Cassidy and the Sundance Kid because he couldn't get top billing. That rivalry reached its peak in 1974 with the disaster film The Towering Inferno. This time, McQueen demanded and got top billing, a bigger part, and a salary that shattered Hollywood records. He was paid a staggering $12 million for that single film. Adjusted for inflation, that one paycheck would be like earning $76 million today. With that one deal, Steve McQueen became the highest-paid actor in the world, proving he was the undisputed king of Hollywood's financial hill. Here's what sets Steve McQueen apart from other rich stars: his mindset. He wasn't just an actor who spent his money. He was a collector and investor who seemed to have a sixth sense for what would grow in value. He didn't build a career. He built a tangible empire of hard assets: steel, leather, and land. Things he was passionate about, but also things he knew would last. McQueen's love for cars was more than a hobby. It was a core part of his financial plan. He didn't just buy dozens of rare cars, he curated a collection. And just by owning them, he added a value that became known as the Steve McQueen effect. Any vehicle he touched would later sell for a fortune, a phenomenon that continues to benefit his estate. The best example is the 1968 Ford Mustang GT from Bullitt. After filming, the main car was sold to a private owner and basically vanished for decades. McQueen himself tried to buy it back several times, but the owner wouldn't sell. When it finally went to auction in 2020, it sold for a record-breaking $3.4 million, becoming one of the most valuable movie cars ever. But his personal collection was just as impressive. His 1963 Ferrari 250 GT Lusso Berlinetta sold for $2.3 million in 2007. Even more amazing was the sale of his 1967 Ferrari 275 GTB/4. A similar car might sell for around $3 million, but because it was McQueen's, it sold for over $10 million. That extra $7 million is the McQueen effect. And then there was the Porsche 917K from his passion project, the racing film Le Mans. In 2017, that car sold for an insane $14 million, making it the most expensive Porsche ever auctioned at the time. McQueen's passion for motorcycles might have been even stronger than his love for cars. He was a skilled off-road racer, often competing under the fake name Harvey Mushman, so the studios wouldn't find out. He once said, "I'm not sure whether I'm an actor who races or a racer who acts." This genuine love led him to collect around 130 motorcycles. Like his cars, these were assets. His collection included rare models from brands like Triumph and Indian. A 1937 Crocker from his collection sold for $276,000 all the way back in 2006. Another famous bike was his 1971 Husqvarna 400 Cross, the one he rode shirtless on the cover of Sports Illustrated. McQueen invested in real estate, but his properties were just as unique as his vehicles. His main home in his later years was a 15.5-acre ranch in Santa Paula, California. But the real jewel for McQueen was the massive 4,500-foot hangar on the property. It wasn't for a plane. It was a climate-controlled museum for his priceless car and motorcycle collection. He also owned a valuable beach house in Malibu, an escape from Hollywood that was a prime piece of real estate guaranteed to appreciate in value. Everything McQueen touched seemed to turn to gold. The Tag Heuer Monaco watch he wore in Le Mans became forever linked to his name. In 2020, the actual watch from the film sold for over $2.2 million, the most expensive Heuer watch ever sold. His Persol 714 sunglasses from the Thomas Crown affair became a sensation, and the brand still sells McQueen models today. Even his racing suits and helmets command huge prices at auction. He had an innate sense that his legacy was a brand, and that brand was incredibly valuable. When Steve McQueen died from cancer in 1980 at just 50 years old, he left behind an empire worth an estimated $30 million. But more importantly, he left a plan. The wealth was designed to provide for his family for generations. The main heirs were his two children from his first marriage, his daughter Terry and his son Chad. His widow, Barbara Minty, was also a beneficiary. This inheritance wasn't just cash. It was a complex portfolio of assets, royalties, and image rights that would secure his family's future. Chad McQueen, born in 1960, grew up in his father's world of speed and adrenaline. He inherited that passion, becoming an actor and a professional race car driver himself, with a role in The Karate Kid. After his father's death, Chad became a key manager of the Steve McQueen estate, a role he has taken with incredible dedication. He has carefully guarded his father's name and image, understanding its power. Chad has been central to navigating the complex world of licensing and brand management. He helps approve collaborations, from special edition Ford Mustangs that honor Bullitt to luxury watches, ensuring each partnership introduces the King of Cool to new generations while keeping the brand's integrity intact. Terry McQueen, born in 1959, was the actor's beloved daughter. When her father died, she was only 19 and also inherited a large part of the estate. Tragically, Terry passed away in 1998 at the age of 38 due to health complications. But Steve McQueen's planning ensured his legacy would endure even through tragedy. He had set up trusts for his descendants. Upon Terry's death, her share of the inheritance passed into the Terry McQueen Testamentary Trust, with the beneficiary being Terry's daughter and Steve's granddaughter, Molly McQueen. Molly has since become a public face for the family legacy, often appearing at events and serving as a bridge between her grandfather's iconic past and the family's future. Managing the McQueen legacy means being constantly vigilant. In 2017, the family showed just how serious they are about protecting it. The estate filed a lawsuit against Ferrari after discovering that as part of its 70th anniversary celebration, Ferrari had released a special edition car they named the McQueen without asking for permission. The lawsuit filed by Chad McQueen and the Terry McQueen Testamentary Trust argued that Ferrari was trying to cash in on the Steve McQueen effect without approval. The family had worked for decades to carefully manage the brand, and this unauthorized use undermined their control. The lawsuit sent a clear message: the name Steve McQueen is a private, valuable asset, and the family will fiercely protect it.